Sitting here on this lonely dock, watch the rain play on the ocean top. All the things I feel I need to say, I can't explain in any other way. I need to be bold, need to jump in the cold water, need to grow older with a girl like you. Finally see you were naturally the one to make it so easy when you showed me the truth. Yeah.
First question, what were you doing the year before you met each other?
Me?
Either one. Both of you.
I had just finished nurses training, and I was living in Milwaukee, working as a nurse in a hospital.
Grandpa?
I was going to school, studying. And
Explain your first impressions of each other.
I think that Mary was very lucky to see me because she didn't go out with anyone until I met and found out that she could cook.
Grandma, what were your first impressions of Grandpa?
He was fun, and I thought it was interesting to have him over for dinner. I didn't think I'd ever see him again.
Buddy, get out of here.
This one's for Grandpa. How did you ask Grandma out, and do you remember how she replied?
Yes, I remember exactly. I asked her, would you like to go out? And she said, oh, finally.
Did you really say that?
Please be serious. Come on.
What did he really do?
He really called one of my roommates, and she thought he was going to ask him out, so it was kind of a love-hate type thing.
I think the important thing is that when our first date, they hung all her bras and pants and so forth around the lights, and I thought, what a strange group of people.
When you met each other's families, what was your first impressions?
What was
And-
theirs?
And what was theirs?
My wife wants me to go first, which is really sort of the history of our family. Always go first, Jack. If it doesn't work out well, we'll switch. Okay, what was my impression of her family?
Yep.
Oh, I thought that they worked awful damn hard at the farm, and that I knew that I would never go farming because I couldn't stand shit all over me. Your turn.
I really didn't know. I was 2.5 hours late getting there, and you just don't know. That isn't really a good way to begin a lifelong relationship.
First we do is hit and run at that time.
Sitting here on.
How did you know that each other was the one?
I don't know.
Good decision. I don't know. No, that takes a little bit of time to develop that, and, so I think it's just something that you learn over time, that person.
Was there like one moment where you looked at each other and you're like, this
Can
is
I
it?
finish?
Yes, you can.
This is my interview, not your impressions of our interview. Where were we now? Oh, I think it's something that you develop over time, and my mother thought she told me after she was there the first time, she said, that's the person you're going to marry. So she was probably pushing me out the door. Your turn.
I don't know. I think I just felt this is someone that I could trust, and somebody that we could communicate and hopefully, had a job and was going back to school and all this interesting little things.
Wow, that's pretty emotional.
How did Grandpa propose? Were there tears involved on either side? Was anyone crying?
told me he had something for me in the glove compartment of his car.
True. She opened the glove compartment and said, "Ah, it's about time."
What
No,
did she say?
she said, "Oh, that is very nice." Because I had just spent 2 months' money on this diamond ring, which I didn't have any. And so, she better liked it.
Same ring?
Same ring,
Aw, I love that.
same ring.
Same ring. Wedding.
Our wedding was at St. Joseph Church in Dodgeville, and we had 4 attendants, Helen McCarthy, and my brother Jack, and Carol Noyes, and Tom Owenson. And we had little flower girl was Marcia Bastian, and Mark was a little flower.
And we had 2 people that were my good friends, John Hauser and Andy Ruchek. That was a very nice wedding. It was in the church, and then from there we went down to the basement and had bacon and eggs. And from there we went over and got our car, which Mother had given me a couple of dollars because I couldn't afford it. And she went to the bank and took some of it. She never told her family, but she had given me some money for a car. And I never told my family. And so we paid $300 and some for this car, and it ran. And that has nothing to do with the wedding.
Sitting here on this lonely dock, watch the rain play on the ocean top. All the things I feel I need to say.
Where did you spend your honeymoon? How long were you there? Highlights?
We actually spent it in a very, very expensive place, a place called Hayward, Wisconsin, where we went fishing. And we got that free from my aunt, Dode, and Uncle Al. And it was such a nice time. We caught bullheads and we caught bluegills, and I cleaned them with what little I knew about cleaning fish. And we almost burnt down the cabin one night because we threw all this wood into the fireplace. I woke up about 1 o'clock in the morning, and the potbelly stove was red, and the pipe going up to the ceiling was red. And so it was so damn hot, we knew we were going to burn down the place. So I took a bucket of water and threw it over the stove, and
Inside.
huh?
You had
And
to take these hot logs out in buckets and throw them outside.
so we just about burned down, and that would have pissed off my aunt, something big time.
All the reasons why. So A's for all that you've done for me. Being with you's the only place I wanna be. Seeing you's the only thing I wanna see. 'Cause loving you is easy. One, 'cause you're the only one for me.
Describe your first Christmas together, and where did Grandpa hide baby Jesus?
Our first Christmas together, I have no idea.
I think we went to both places. Both Grandma Hughes and Jack was in school, and I was working. I think I worked Christmas.
I don't think I had any money, so I studied.
I don't know if we
My
had-
whole life was not having any money.
I think maybe we didn't even have Baby Jesus Incorporated. We started that when we first had children of our own.
We couldn't afford baby Jesus at the time.
Considering your kids and their kids are such a large part of your life, what was married life like before you had them?
Busy, busy, busy. I went to school all the time. Mary went to work all the time. We still didn't have any money.
No?
It was, really. We were both working and Jack was going to school. We had friends in Milwaukee that we knew before and after, so we used to go to each other's houses occasionally.
And I went to school at 7 in the morning, worked and got out at 4. And at 4:30, I worked at Ellen Bradley's till 11. And 11 o'clock, I came home and studied till about 4 in the morning, till I dragged myself to bed. And I did that for 5 days a week.
When you realized you were pregnant with Marcia, how did you react and how did you share the news with Grandpa? What was his reaction?
I was real happy, and when he came home, he was studying away, and we were both pleased.
We were both pleased. I was studying away and I didn't have any money.
What was your favorite family vacation when all of your kids were younger? Describe that vacation and why it was your favorite.
Probably our trip out west.
When Marcia was 15 years old, and we took everybody with us, except Jeff, and it was just a wonderful vacation.
Yeah, now we know why it's your
Jeff
favorite.
stayed with Eleanor Gabler.
Wasn't even born, but
Never mind. You're right.
Why was it your favorite?
Just having all the kids with us, and we just stayed at very inexpensive places because we didn't have any money. And it was just one of those.
the camper was new. We were all, first year that we had done a lot of camping.
Now, when you go back to the
Excited.
camper, we went and bought this camper, and we went into the camper showroom where there's a big area where they had campers. And so I was wondering, we had a pop-up camper that we were looking at, and I was sitting there saying to Grandma, I wonder if we can sleep in the back part, if it's big enough. So both of us crawled in the back part, and the camper tipped over.
There were no jacks under the back. It was a metal roof with a cement floor to do it.
All sorts of noise. People came running over, and we're laying on the floor
Not on the floor,
Tried
but
it.
on the camper, but it was,
trying to get out of where we were. It was very embarrassing.
He said, we'll take this one.
No, they said you will take this one.
What is the best thing about getting to be parents?
Having kids. They're great. They really are. And you totally enjoy them, and you turn them around, and they become an extension of your life.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
That was part one. Second question.
Share some of your most proud moments as parents.
It's always exciting to be a new parent and show your parents and brothers and sisters and, the new baby to the family.
I think watching them grow up.
Did I slip nor stumble? Did I trip 'cause I know I failed? All I know is
What would you say each other's strengths and weaknesses are as parents?
No matter what the decision was, I think we shared the ideas as parents. if one person set up a rule, the other one definitely would go to it.
And I think, seriously, when, if anybody was mean to mom or criticized mom, I'd beat the shit out of them. And that is exactly what happened. You never blame your mother for anything. And at times I would tell them that they are, we'd have a family conference and I would say to them, all right, mother is not going to do this anymore, so you're going to have to do your own things, like wash your clothes, do the dishes, clean up afterwards, and the kids just looked at us and amazed.
Which of all of the households that you've lived in has the most significant memories for you, and what are those memories?
Probably as a family would definitely be the Fox River Grove house, because we were there for the longest period of time and probably did the most of different things. And our family was older.
I would say St. Louis had a great impact on what we did with the kids. I love it when the kids were younger and you could say, go here or do that, and they would go here and do that. And so it was sort of interesting, it's, believe it or not, when they're younger, you really can tell them something.
With such a large family, Grandma's Rolodex, and so much going on, have you ever forgotten any important dates or events?
I have my little old oil calendar.
No.
Good.
Maybe.
Choose a family member to fill in the blank. Most likely to cheat during a card game is...
Probably Doug.
Mom.
Family member with the biggest laugh is...
Oh,
Grandpa?
Marcia.
The hardest worker in the family is...
and
Paul. Kathy. Marcia.
Consumes the most chocolate chip squares.
and that'd be a toss-up.
Not me.
Pick the boys and pick which ones they're having a good day.
The best dancer in the family is...
Oh, maybe Marcia. Sorority girl.
Yeah, that's right, a big too.
Grandma, who do you think is more affectionate in the relationship, you or Grandpa?
Grandpa.
Me?
You agree?
Absolutely.
What is your favorite thing to do together as a couple, just the two of you?
Probably go out to eat.
A lot.
How about for sure road trips? What are your spouse's most annoying habits? Grandpa?
She has none.
Probably.
Do you think I'm going to touch that? You're crazy.
Grandma, did you bring your list?
Do I have to publish it right now? I'll have it ready at a later date.
Procrastinating.
What is one of the silliest arguments you've ever had?
Probably when Grandpa came home with a big flowered piece of 4x8 sheet to put on a wall in St. Louis, on a kitchen wall, kind of divided the eating area from the other one. I was very upset about that.
Because it's ugly?
I think
Bright orange flowers, this big. I thought it was ugly. He thought it was beautiful.
I think the biggest argument we've ever had, when I came home with this big box to put into the kitchen, and she didn't appreciate art. So Art he went someplace else, he left.
How did your marriage change after retirement?
Much, much more togetherness. I think we enjoy the independent, doing things more in a spur of the moment. You don't have to have things planned out like after work or before work or weekends.
I don't think it changed.
How does your faith play a role in your relationship, in your life? And in what ways do you integrate faith into your day-to-day lives?
My faith is a major part of my life, and I try to include that in everything I do. So it's first and foremost important to me.
I agree that faith is an extremely strong relationship in our life, and we pray a lot because we have so many grandchildren. We have to pray for every night. It takes so damn much time.
How does your faith play a role in your relationship with one another? How do you incorporate that into issues you've had or
We
ups
always
and
pray
downs?
together. Every night we pray together. And even when you've had a tough day between each other, which you have all the time sometimes, and that was a quick change. Sometimes it's what makes things grow, and it means a lot. My faith means extreme amount to my well-being, because I certainly don't want to go to hell.
Grandma will pray for you.
And she can't get me there unless I go.
That's right. You're on your own.
Your turn. You forgot the question.
How does faith play into your relationship and how you guys handle each other?
It definitely does, and I think you learn to, maybe through faith, that you can forgive. You know, sometimes things seem monumental, but they really, sit back and look at them, that they aren't quite as critical as they may seem at the moment.
Grandma, what makes Grandpa a great husband?
He's kind, he's considerate, he's humorous, and
Grandpa, what makes Grandma a great wife?
Seriously, I would say her ability to care.
If you could give one piece of advice to newlyweds, what would it be?
I would say totally support your wife, no matter what the kids do or what they say. If you disagree with you never disagree with your wife totally.
If you could give one piece of advice to newlyweds, what would it be?
always discuss things with one another. Communication is very important. And be forgiving. Don't
If you could give one piece of advice to parents, what would it be?
Yes, and I will read you.
Spend as much time caring for one another and make sure that money is not the center of your whole life.
If you could give one piece of advice to parents, what would that be?
be adaptable. You have to set certain rules and live by them, and if both parents have to be on the same page, you can't have different regulations or everybody plays one against the other.
sitting here on this lonely dock.
If you could give one piece of advice to your kids, what would it be?
The most important thing is, if you're going to get married, love your wife above everything, and your kids are second. And then things work out well.
Okay. If you could give one advice to your kids, what would it be?
No matter where they are, what they're doing, we're always interested in their lives.
If you could give one piece of advice to grandparents, what would it be?
Don't have a lot of grandchildren because at Christmas time they kill you financially.
You know, I didn't hear the question.
If you could give one piece of advice to grandparents, what would it be?
Enjoy your grandkids, because they aren't around much, and they're just fun to have.
What is one thing Grandma has done today to make you love her even more?
Today, I would say that we have been together for 54 years, and there's no one thing that you could add on to the pile she's already given me.
What did Grandpa do for you today that made you love him more?
He kept telling me that was my birthday, and I could do whatever I wanted to.
If you could give one piece of advice to your kids, what would it be?
One thing is, if you're going to get married, love your wife above everything, and your kids are second. And then things work out well.
Okay. If you could give one advice to your kids, what would it be?
No matter where they are, what they're doing, we're always interested in their lives.